Okay, so in this week's guitar lesson, we're going to learn how to play a very slow and easy to play melodic sounding lead that's really not using any scales at all. The whole thing was played using chord shapes. We're going to be looking at triads all over the fretboard and how you can pull melodies out of those chords. And so it's just a different way of playing a lead. You're not really thinking scales so much. I mean, there's always a scale that runs underneath everything, but that's not how we're thinking about it. So we're going to break down everything over the course of 2 videos. In this video, I'm going to go through the first half of everything. If you'd like to watch the second video, download the tablature for everything we're going to talk about. Download the MP3 jam track so that you can practice playing everything we're going to talk about. You can get all of those extras by going to activemelody.com, go to the weekly lessons page, and do a search for EP514. All right, so this song is played in the key of E, and it's just basic chords. The first time through, let me just go through the chords and then we'll listen to the first part. But the one chord is your E, then it goes to an E7, and that pulls us into the 4 chord, which is an A. And then we go into the minor 4 chord. I love this sound. So it's an A minor. Isn't that a pretty sound? You go to the 4 chord, then you do the minor 4. And then we go back to the 1 chord. And then lastly, we'll go to the 5 chord, which is our B, actually a B7. And then back to the 1 chord, which is our E. So that's the chord family we're going to be playing over. Nothing weird there chord-wise. Let's listen to the first part and then we'll break it down. Okay, so this is starting on the 5 chord. It's a common scenario that happens in a lot of music. You start on the 5 chord, which sets you up with a little tension, and then you release that tension by going into the 1 chord. So it's a good technique if you're trying to write a song, you're not sure how to start it. Just start with the 5 chord. That's one way you can do it. So it starts with a B7, and what I played goes... That's the 7th fret 2nd string and the 5th fret 1st string. And this little harmony here represents my B chord or my B7 chord. Let me show you how you can think about this going forward. You can use this in other things. I'm thinking about my B chord up here using the E shape. And I just know this is just one of those things you just have to kind of commit to memory. Where the bar is there, which would be on the 7th fret, I'm going to put my ring finger on that 7th fret 2nd string, and then I'm going to skip a fret and come back to the 5th fret and play those 2 notes. That's a B7 sound. And what I like about this, the reason I'm showing it to you in this much detail, these 2 notes, is because I can go up 2 frets, and then I can be playing my 1 chord. So going forward, I know this is a small little piece of information, but if you've got an E chord, you've got your 1 chord here, and this is out of the A shape, right? Think of your A shape, the top part of your A shape from the cage system. And then you can go down 2 frets, and that'll represent your 5 chord. So you have... So anyway, you can hear that, right? Hopefully, and it's real simple. That's why I like it. So I started with that. Started with a 5 chord, and then I came up to the 1 chord. Now all I'm doing, and I've already said this, is I'm playing the E chord there, but out of the A shape. I'm thinking A shape from the cage system. And by the way, if you're a premium member, you have access to the whole cage system course under the courses section. And so if you're not sure what I mean by that, you can review that course. So I slid into it like this. And then I came down here and hit the 9th fret 3rd string, which again, it's just the notes from the chord. So you can see I'm just playing the chord. I'm just playing it in pieces. So from the B, now watch this. I walked that down. So I held this and let this ring out, this 9th fret 2nd string, and then I walked that 3rd string down, 8th fret, 7th fret, and what's happening there? Listen to the sound, right? You can tell that that's got that bluesy sound, that E7 sound. Think of your E7 chord, that note. That's the note I walked to, right? So I hope a light bulb's going off for somebody out there and you're saying, oh, okay, so I've got my E chord up here using that A shape, the little top part of it, that triad there. And I can walk that E note down 2 frets, and I'm going to be playing an E7. So then after that I went, and it's really just dancing around this E chord up here using the A shape. So I came up to the 9th fret 1st string, back to my 7th fret 1st string, little slide back into the 9th fret 2nd string, and then that 9th fret 3rd string. Again, these are the notes of the E chord there. This note would make that chord like an E6, so it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, a 6 interval of your major scale. But here's what I love about this, and I want you, if you walk away with nothing else, no other ideas from this entire lesson, get this one point here, and that is, from this A chord shape, if you look at when you make that chord, some of you make it like that, you've got one finger on the 7th fret and one finger up here on the 9th fret. So let's just remember those 2 frets, 7th fret, 9th fret. And let's look at string 1, 2, and 3. Any of those notes are going to work over an E. This is what I love about this. So I can go and come down here and get that 7 sound, right? Like an E7. Now that's going to work in that situation. This is not going to work over E minor, but an E major chord, this would work. And then this would give me that 6 sound, like from an E6 chord. So I've got all these options here. And I can bar these top 3 strings to get an E6 chord. I know it's just a triad, but that represents your E6 chord. That's the inside of your E6 chord. I can slide that down 2 frets and play an E9 chord. So look at all the things. I can play chords, I can play little lead lines, and it's all coming out of that A chord shape. So even though I haven't made it very far into this solo yet, I hope you're starting to get some ideas from this. Okay, let's back it up from the beginning. All right, so after that, the song goes to the A chord. Right, we go to our 4 chord. So I was down here, and then I hit that note again. And I came all the way down here to the 6th fret 3rd string. So I went, and then played the 5th fret 2nd string. Now what's going on there? Now I would encourage you to pause the video and just try and work it out. So, okay, we're playing over the A chord. So why would these 2 notes work so well over that? Hopefully you've paused the video and checked that out or thought about it. What I'm thinking about is the A chord here using the E shape, but not the full chord, just not the full all 6 strings. I'm just talking about this little triad here in strings 2 and 3. This little piece of it, this little harmony. So I just basically slid from the E down to the A, and then I went like this. And that works over that A minor. Remember, we go from the 4 chord to the minor 4. We go into the minor. So these 2 notes are just behind a bar there on the 5th fret, strings 3 and 2. And then I came up to this note, which is the 7th fret 2nd string. Now, why does this work over the A minor? Well, that should be obvious. There's my A minor up here using the E minor shape. There's my A major, right? And we lift our middle finger, we get the A minor. So I'm just playing those 2 notes out of that, or those 2 strings out of that. And then I come up here, which would be like an A minor 6, by adding that 7th fret 2nd string. So then the song goes back to the E chord, and I play this. Now I want you to notice that I'm kind of making this little gradual progression this way. It's just sort of slowly walking this way. And I'm always looking for my nearest neighbor. I say this all the time, and it's absolutely critical to improvising. So while I'm playing this A minor, I'm thinking, okay, the song's about to go into the E chord. So where's my nearest E? I don't want to jump down to an E here or up here. I want to find something nearby. I can either go this direction, like a fret or 2, or this direction, a fret or 2. There's always going to be the chord you're looking for right beside where you're at. That's always the case. That's just the way that the fretboard's laid out. So from here I went right here. That's the next closest E, and that was the obvious choice for me. And so what I'm playing is your E chord using the D shape. It's like taking your D chord and sliding it up 2 frets. And look what's happening there on that 3rd string. From the A to the A minor, to the E, you can hear this movement. And we're going to keep that movement going. So it's just walking down. And so that's one of the things that happens a lot too when you're coming up with melodies, is you're trying to find, it goes back to the easiest way I can think of it is the nearest neighbor, but you're trying to find like little lines that can kind of weave through. And so you hear that in music all the time. It's just a common thing because it's sort of predictable. You can kind of anticipate. It's not jumping all over the place. Okay. That's like the NBC thing, right? The old NBC logo sound. So from here I went. So I kept my ring finger on that 5th fret 2nd string. Index finger goes down to the 3rd fret 3rd string. And then I come down and go. So that's the 3rd string and the 1st string from the 2nd fret. It's just a bar there. And then down to my E chord. But I went little hammer on with my index finger to the 1st fret 3rd string. And then open 1 string. Now what is all of this? What chords do these represent? It doesn't really represent a chord specifically per se. It's more of a walk down. This is just kind of a blues. Right? It's just another way of doing that. And that also contains the line, the one note that's moving through it, right? That's the predictable part, the part we like. So that's what I'm doing there, is just a turnaround. And then it goes to the 5 chord, which is our B7, and I went. Now this is something we've already talked about. So let's learn how to play it first. Index finger, 2nd fret, 3rd string. We're going to walk it up, 2, 3, 4. And then we're going to bar there on that 4th fret, strings 1, 2, and 3. 3rd fret, down to the 2nd fret. What is that? And like how have we talked about that? Well, remember, right now we're playing over the 5 chord. We're playing over the B chord, the B7 chord. And look at this. Remember when we started this video, we were talking about the E chord up here using the A shape? And I said you've got, between the 7th fret and the 9th fret. If you play up here, you're playing an E6. If you play here, you're playing an E9. Well, right now we're playing over the B, right? So your B chord using the A shape is right here. There's my 2 frets. That means I've got all these things I can do on the first 3 strings there. So that would be a B6. I can walk it down chromatically to a B9. Now, one question that I always get anytime I talk about this, going from the 6 chord down to the 9 chord, using a triad like this, somebody always goes, that's not a, like in this case, that wouldn't be a B9, that would be an F sharp minor. Well, you would be right on that. If I played an F sharp in the bass, it just depends on the context. So in that case, yes, if I played this, that would be an F sharp minor. But if there's a B in the bass, then I've got a B9. That same F sharp minor triad lives inside of your B9. So that always confuses people, and I don't mean for it to. You have to just start thinking about it back to chord shapes. That's what makes it easy. If you just think about B, forget the F sharp part, but your B chord, and then that shape there, you've got a B6 here and a B9. All right, so the song is now turned around and we're back to our E chord. And I'm just going to follow the same premise that I just played here over this B chord where we went B to the 6 to the 9. And we're going to do the same thing now over the E chord. So the song is switched to the E chord and I came up to here. Now, when you hear the E in the bass, you can hear that. So it's got that kind of jazzy, bluesy kind of vibe. And what I'm doing is I'm back to where we started, basically. Here's my E chord using the A shape. Remember, if I play Right here, I'm playing an E9. If I play up 2 frets, I'm playing an E6. Right? And that's what I did here. I went. So that's where that comes from. A little embellishment off of the the E6 by coming up and hitting this E note up here on the 12th fret first string. But it's really simple and pretty, and it sounds sophisticated, but you can see there's really nothing to it. I'm just thinking about my E chord using the A shape. I started with the E9, E6 with the embellishment, and then back to the E9. You know, actually, I'm going to end this part 1 video right here. I think that's a good stopping point. And if you're not a premium member yet, I would encourage you to just look into it at activemelody.com. I've got, over, I think it's like 12 years worth of in-depth lessons like this. They're all designed with the same premise, which is to help you improvise. That's what this whole thing is about for me. It's just sharing everything that I know. And I'm giving you all the tools, the jam tracks, the tablature, everything I can think of that will help you in that journey. And if you don't want to do that and you just want to watch the free stuff, that's totally cool too. I hope you've picked up a few ideas from this video. The 6 to the 9 chord, that's a great one. So any of these little things that you pick up, if you like them, just leave a comment. I always appreciate that as well. All right, we'll see you in part 2 where we'll go over the rest of this.